Sometimes this life seems like an unending web series where every episode starts with some dramatic opening and ending with some unanswered twist. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am Dharani, your Sergeant at Arms. It's my immense pleasure to welcome you all for the 46th Chartered Meeting of MVJC Toastmasters Club. If you are the member of any club, it's necessary to know about the mission of the club. Mission of the Toastmasters Club is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience by which members can develop a communication and leadership skills. I'm so excited for today's meeting because of the theme, 5 reasons to watch Suits. I don't want to give any comments on the theme. Let us listen from our Toastmaster of the day from the scratch about the theme. Let's get started. Before that, in every Toastmasters meeting, it's necessary to follow some of the rules. We call them as ground rules or the golden rules. They are, please refrain speaking anything offensive about gender, religion, and politics at our club. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings at any chance. As this is a virtual meeting, please keep your video on if your bandwidth permits, and make sure all your noise making devices to be muted so that you can concentrate to the meeting. I would like to call a person who will take to this meeting ahead. She is the secretary of the club. She described herself as an ambivert, and she would always love getting suggestions for starting a new show or series on Netflix. Let's welcome our presiding officer, Toastmaster Shruti. The stage is yours. You're on mute.
So sorry. A very good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to the 46th meeting of MVJCE Toastmaster Club. For the benefits of guests, Toastmaster is a non-profit educational organization that operates club worldwide for purpose of promoting communication, public speaking, and leadership in individuals. Moving forward, I would like to welcome all the guests. Thank you for being here. I see a few guests here. Ajay, can you please unmute and introduce yourself to the club? You can drop it in the chat box as well, if you can't unmute. Okay. Deep Nayak, can you please unmute and introduce yourself to the club?
Yeah. So am I audible and visible to you?
Yes.
Yeah. So very good evening to everyone. My name is Deep. It's my first meeting at Toastmasters Club. So basically the topic of suits, which encouraged me to join today. I'm friend of Etsam Ahmed. So he introduced me to the topic and to the group. So I'm here today. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I hope you have a great time here. Jai Krishna, can you please unmute and talk and introduce yourself to the club? Okay, that's okay. Rohit, could you please unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Yeah. So, hey guys, it's been a long time since I attended your club meetings. I was here during the pre-charter days, I remember, and now I'm so happy to see 46 meetings. You guys are going strong. And of course, me and Manvi keep talking and she keeps bombarding me with messages about the club and not getting time to attend, but suits is something I couldn't. And we were actually discussing to have a meeting like this, and I'm so happy that you actually took it up and you did it. So obviously, I'm glad to be here for that.
Thank you so much for being here. We are also glad to have you. So, let's move forward. I request everyone to switch on your cameras if your bandwidth permits. This will encourage the speakers while delivering their speeches. With this, I declare 46th meeting of MVJCE Toastmaster Club open. We have a new member in our club, Toastmaster Athar. He is from Mumbai, Maharashtra. He is a first-year aerospace engineering student who is interested in Urdu literature, knowing about the latest innovations, and also taking part in political discussions. Wow, that is so interesting. Let us join our hands together to give him a warm welcome into the club. Toastmaster Athar, welcome to the club.
Thank you, Shruti.
Could you please unmute yourself and talk about yourself and introduce yourself to the club?
Good evening, all of you. As you have introduced myself, I basically belong to Mumbai, Maharashtra, and Aditya, my friend, introduced to me to this club. I'll be very glad to be a part of this club.
Thank you so much, Athar. That's really great. Even we are glad to have you in the club. Without further delay, let's go to the theme. It seems very interesting. I haven't watched the show, but let's see how this meeting convinces me to watch the series. I'm sorry. When you're backed against a wall, break the goddamn thing down. We all remember this famous quote from the TV series Suits. This famous American legal drama series, created and written by Aaron, first primed in the year 2011, has successfully finished 9 seasons since then. Let's see what our TM Modi has to say about this theme today. Our TM Modi is a 22-year-old engineering graduate. He's a big fan of the show Suits and has been the whole show more than 6 times. Her favorite character from the show is Jessica Pearson, who she absolutely admires and wishes to be like her. Toastmaster Manvi, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Shruti. First of all, am I audible and visible? Okay. Before I begin, I want to apologize to all of you. I had a power cut, that's why I couldn't join on time. But now that I'm here and everything is fine, let's begin because I'm super excited for this theme. Okay, Jessica with sunglasses. Okay, whatever. So 5 reasons to watch Suits. I'll just share my screen if the host can give me permission.
Manvi, you don't need permission. You can directly share.
Okay. Can you see my PPT? By a show of hands or a thumbs up? Okay. 5 reasons to watch Suits. So a little bit about the show. Suits is, like Shruti already mentioned, it's an American legal drama. It's a television series that you can watch on either Netflix or Amazon Prime, and it has some clips available on YouTube as well. So the story basically revolves around 6 lawyers who work in the best legal firm of New York City called Pearson Hardman. And before I move on to talk about why you should invest your time in Suits, I want to introduce you guys to the characters of the show, the 6 major characters that the story revolves around. Starting with Louis Litt. Louis Litt is a Harvard attorney at Pearson Hardman, which is the New York's best firm. He's dedicated, he worships his work like anything. He loves mudding. Mudding is basically you sit in a tub of mud and you spend time there. You spend like hours and hours sitting there. He envies Harvey Specter. I'll tell you who Harvey Specter is. And he's sometimes devious. Then moving on to Donna Paulson. She's the witty secretary of Harvey Specter, and she always says the right things at the right time. She's that person, she's that go-to person who can solve any problem no matter what. And she can read people like nobody else. Then we have Rachel Zane. Rachel Zane is a paralegal at Pearson Hardman. She has a rich lawyer dad, but she wants to become a lawyer on her own. And she is Mike Ross's love interest. Moving on to Jessica Pearson, my favorite character and somebody who I absolutely admire. She's the managing partner of Pearson Hardman. She's the boss. She's the perfect blend of beauty, power, and wisdom. And nobody can dare to stand against her. She's going to crush anybody who comes in front of her. And then we have Mike Ross. He's a college dropout, a person who has a photographic memory, like literally, and he is a lawyer at Pearson Hardman. He quotes a lot of movie dialogues, and he is Rachel's love interest. Moving on to Harvey Specter. He is the partner at Pearson Hardman. He's a Harvard attorney, best legal closer the city has ever seen. He's that pretty guy who's never lost a single case in his life. So these are the 6 characters which are going to keep coming up in the, in the rest of the meeting. So that's why I wanted you to be familiar with them. And before I move on to the first reason why you should invest in suits, let me talk a little bit about the flow of the meeting. So any Toastmasters meeting has 4 segments. Any Toastmaster meeting has 4 segments. The first segment is the prepared speeches segment, where speakers prepare a speech of 5 to 7 minutes and deliver it on the virtual stage. Then we have a table topic segment, which is more like an impromptu speaking segment. You're given a topic on spot and you have to structure your thoughts within 1 to 2 minutes and deliver. Moving on, we have the listening segment, which tests your listening skills. So please be alert throughout the meeting if you want to win the Best Listener Award for the day. And then we have the evaluation segment, which is the heart of any Toastmasters meeting. Here you're given commendations and recommendations on your performance throughout the meeting. So moving on, let us now get to know the general evaluator for today's meeting. He is a first-year CS student who loves to develop games and loves to go on long walks. Please welcome the general evaluator for today, Toastmaster Vishal Gali.
Hello everyone, I'll be your general evaluator for today. And the role of the general evaluator is to take a look at the meeting and see overall how it goes, what's good about it, and what are the improvements that can be made. Now, to fully give a complete evaluation, I have my own small team known as a tag team to help me with the evaluation. In the tag team, we have T, which is timer, and your timer for the day is an ambivert, a jovial person who relishes meeting new people. In spare times, she watches her favorite sitcoms again. So let's have Toastmaster Amrit on stage to introduce her role.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. My role as the timer is to keep the time for all speakers and to ensure that everyone speaks within their allocated time. To help me do this, I have 3 colored cue cards. I'll raise the green card when the speaker hits the qualifying time, the yellow card when the speaker hits the target time, and the red card when the speaker has reached the end of their allocated time. There are totally 3 segments where I'll be noting down the times, which is the first one is the prepared speeches, where the allotted time for the prepared speeches is 5 to 7 minutes. I shall raise the green card when the 5th minute has passed, the yellow card when the 6th minute has passed, and the red card when the 7th minute has passed. So the second segment is the table topic segment, which is for 1 to 2 minutes. And I shall raise the green card when the speaker hits the qualifying time, which is 1 minute, and a yellow card when the speaker has hit the 1 minute 30 seconds, the red card at 2 minutes. The third segment is the evaluation. For the evaluation, the allocated time is 2 to 3 minutes, and we'll same wise raise the card for green card for qualifying, yellow for when the evaluator has reached the 2 minutes 30 seconds, and 3 minutes the red card. I request all the speakers to pin my video to keep the speeches on time, and I'll present my report when called back by the general evaluator. Thank you. Back to you, general evaluator.
Thank you for that introduction. Next, we have our R counter, who is a first-year aero student at MVJ and loves political debates. So can we have Toastmaster Athar on the stage to introduce his role?
Greeting to all the Toastmasters. I'm sorry I couldn't able to on my camera for this time. The purpose of a counter is to note the words and the sound, the crutch and the filter, the pause, etc. during the speaker speaking. During the meeting, I will listen for all overused word, including well, but, so, and I will also listen to the filter sound, including and I will also note when the speaker repeats the word or phrases such as I, or the means. Means at the end of the meeting, I will submit the report to the number of the time that each speaker used the expression. Thank you, Toastmasters.
Thank you for that introduction. And next we have our grammarian for the day. Being grammarian makes her confident as there is so much she can learn and improve. Usually she spends her time binge watching or reading a book. Playing outdoor excites her a lot, and long drives and exploring the nature are two of her favorite things to do. So with that said, can we have our grammarian for the day, Toastmaster Deepika, on the stage to explain her role?
Thank you, General Evaluator. Good evening to Toastmasters and guests. Grammar is the system and structure of a language. It helps us decide the order we put words in and which form of word is to be used. The role of the grammarian is to monitor three things: the quality usage of words in a sentences, the inaccurate usage of grammar and words in a sentences, and the usage of the word of the day and the phrase of the day throughout the meeting. The word of the day today is accustomed. It means to make someone or something accept something as normal, or in simpler words, to be used to it. An example for this word in a sentence is, I am not accustomed to have my words questioned. The phrase of the day is, get down to breadsticks. It means to start to discuss about something that is the most important about the conversation, or basically to state facts about something. An example for this is, it is time to stop beating around the bush and get down to breadsticks. I encourage everyone to try and incorporate the word of the day and the phrase of the day as many times as possible throughout the meeting. And I would also like the other members to give a thumbs up when someone uses the word of the day or the phrase of the day. I will present my report at the mere end of the meeting when called upon by the General Evaluator. Thank you. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Toastmaster Deepika. Evaluation is not something we may always want to hear, but it is usually something we need to hear so that we all get better at our speaking skills, which is what we are here for. With that said, over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator, for the brief introduction of your role and your team. Now, let us move forward and understand what the role of a listener is. And for that, I'd like to call upon the listener for today's meeting, Toastmaster Divya.
Thank you, Toastmaster Manvi. Being a good listener is just as important as being a good speaker. As the listener, I'll note interesting tidbits of information from many of the speakers and ask questions near the end of the meeting to see if everyone is paying attention. My advice to all of you is to keep all your ears open and be the best listener for today's meeting. That's all from my side. Over to you, Manu.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Divya, for the introduction of your role. Now, before I reveal the first reason why to invest in Suits, how many of you have actually seen Suits? By show of hands. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, awesome. We have a pretty good audience that has seen Suits. Okay, I'll share my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
So the first reason to watch Suits is the plot. So on the right, you see Harvey Specter, and on the left is Mike Ross. Mike Ross is a brilliant young college dropout with a photographic memory, like I mentioned before, who's running away from a drug deal that's gone bad. And he accidentally slips into an interview with Harvey Specter, the guy you see on the right, who's one of New York's best legal closers. Now, Harvey, who's been instructed to hire a lawyer only from Harvard, is totally flabbergasted and beaten by Mike's raw talent and photographic memory, and goes ahead and hires him instead of a Harvard-educated lawyer. Now, the problem is, Mike, who did not go to Harvard, who did not only go to Harvard, he never graduated from any college. And Harvey hires him to work in the most successful and reputed law firm in the New York City. Now, these are two lawyers, but only one degree, breaking the law and committing fraud every single minute of their lives. Will they be caught by the world, or will the duo manage to keep this secret? Watch the show to see how the story unfolds. And oh, in case you're wondering, how did a college dropout convince a Harvard educated lawyer to hire him, then you should definitely watch the pilot of the show. It's a 2-hour pilot, but it'll totally blow your mind for sure. I can guarantee you that. So that is the first reason why you should watch Suits. And now let's move on to the prepared speeches segment. The first speaker for today will be Toastmaster Shruti Reddy. I'd like to call upon her evaluator, Toastmaster Aitasam, to read out the guidelines for her speech objective.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible and visible. Okay, so good evening, everyone, and good evening to my assigned speaker, Toastmaster Shruti. She'll be attending her Level 1 Project 2, Section A. The purpose of this speech is for her to give a speech on any topic that she likes, receive feedback, and apply that feedback in her upcoming speech. I wish her all the best, and I'll be back at the end with my evaluation.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aitasam. Our first speaker of the day describes herself as simple, hardworking, and an ambitious person. She's an ambivert. She hasn't watched the show Suits yet, but she hopes to watch it by the end of this meeting. So do I. Please welcome Toastmaster Shruti Reddy with her speech titled Meet My Friend. Meet my friend, Toastmaster Shruti Reddy.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes.
When did you get your first phone? When did you get your first phone?
When I was in 11th.
When I was in 10th.
Degree college.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today, let's talk about electronic gadgets which are almost our lives right now. A smartphone is an addictive device which traps our soul into a lifeless planet full of lives. 28 March 2018, I got my first phone. It was an Android phone. I got it after my last board exam. Yes, you heard me right. 2018. I had mixed feelings that day because till then I was never exposed to a private device or social media platform. I used to use WhatsApp on my mother's phone to keep in touch with my friends and to know school stuff. Me and my dad went to the shop and was looking for a phone. And we selected this Black Beauty, I would call, and this was my first phone. It was an Android phone. I was very excited to get that into my hand and use it as soon as possible. We bought it home and started to figure out features without a second gap. Then, after a day or two, I opened my Instagram account and started exploring many things. Yes, I would call it exploring because entire world is on our fingertips if a phone is with us. From calling your best friend to wish her first on your birthday, to sending her gifts from staying miles away from her, everything is just so easy and possible now. I was so happy to get my own phone, and my parents till now never invaded my privacy, and I'm very grateful for that every day. I see kids these days having their mobiles and other electronic gadgets at the age of 5 and 6 itself, which is in a way good, but also bad. It has equal weightage of good and bad. Sometimes it depends on how they're guided and monitored by their guardians. I see my little cousin, Charan, having his phone at the age of 7 itself. Really? 7? I don't even remember talking about a phone also in my time. All we knew is only our parents are supposed to use these prime devices and children aren't allowed to use without parents' guidance. This makes children know about the world very soon and gives them a lot of awareness. On the other hand, it also has so many potential health risks to mental and physical related to overuse of cell phones, such as low IQ or improper mental growth of children, sleep deprivation, and anxiety. In this COVID crisis, we all have been locked inside our houses for many months. All that we had with us was our mobile phones and other electronic gadgets. Now, if we see the world, it is entirely running virtually, including our Toastmaster Club meetings. With one click, I can just travel anywhere I can and attend any event and meeting virtually. In fact, our get-togethers, graduations, farewell parties, and other important events of our lives are also conducted online. For making all this possible and keeping us alive indeed, our phones are definitely something which we cannot imagine our life without. That's why my title is Let's Meet My Friend. I personified my phone because it plays an important role in my life. I can't imagine a morning without him, without looking into him, or sleeping without clearing all the tabs. It was definitely been very useful in many things, but also gave me a lot of issues to deal with. I was lectured so many times by my mother to not overuse him, but he being too cute and very addictive, I couldn't stop using him. I have been heavy phone user in the entire lockdown period. I crossed the invisible line of problem territory. My symptoms were very severe. I found myself incapable of reading books, watching movies, and also having long uninterrupted conversation. Phone addiction made me angry, anxious, and impatient. It totally affected my performance in day-to-day tasks and left me clueless with a bunch of health problems. The health problems which I faced were severe headaches, immense mood swings, dry eyes, and insomnia. But overcame them in the period of time by realizing and using him less. Again, that wasn't easy at all. It was very difficult to keep him away and concentrate on one task and without getting distracted. I started with my meditation classes to bring down my anxiety levels down. I used to listen to Sadhguru podcasts and other soothing podcasts, which helped me a lot. I started working out and used to spend some quality time with my family. I was totally off social media for a while and started preparing myself for big things in my life. In this process, my mother played a very important role by diverting me in such critical situations. I am sure that any of you all also would have faced such problem and such addiction at least once in your lifetime. I did. I also rectified my mistakes. I worked to let go of my phone and used to leave it in car or at home more often. As I already mentioned, if it's good or bad, it all depends on us. It depends on our usage. It depends on our limits. It depends on our priorities. But any addiction is just possible to overcome it if you desire and work on it. So good guidance and knowledge about these devices and their drawbacks will make this world completely different. Be it any age group, especially teenager who is going through not only mental issues and health issues, also going through social issues like cyberbullying, will be on track with purely of your consciousness on your activities. It is not a big deal to control your activities. Just remember the circumstances that you should be facing after having a euphoria, the temporary well-being. Now I'm using my phone in a limit and using him for something really productive after my overusage phase. On that note, I would like to conclude by saying, thank you, my dear phone, for staying strong every time I drop you down. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shruti. I can totally relate to your struggle of overusing a phone. There was a time when my screen time was around 11, 12 hours a day. To bring it down to 3-4 hours a day is a big task, and I applaud you for it. Congratulations, Shruti. It was a wonderful speech. Okay. Moving on to our next speaker. May I please invite the evaluator of the next speaker, Toastmaster Francis, to read out the speech guidelines for both speaker 2 and speaker 3.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone, and good evening to my target speaker, TM Aditya. TM Aditya is attempting his level 1 project 2 second speech, and the speech title is We Can Do Yoga, which will be for 5 to 7 minutes. So the purpose of this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. And the purpose of the speech is for the member to demonstrate that he or she has applied the feedback received from his or her first speech. Thank you, and all the best to my target speaker, and back to the TMOD.
Thank you, Toastmaster Francis. Our next speaker is a first-year aerospace engineering student. He loves to play badminton and watch Netflix. And since he has a Netflix subscription, I'm guessing he's going to go back and start Suits. Please welcome, with a huge round of applause, Toastmaster Aditya. We can do yoga. We can do yoga, Toastmaster Aditya.
Yoga is a light which one's lit will never dim. The better you practice, the brighter your flame. Yoga is a connection between a body and a mind, or we can say it's a balancing between a mind and a body. Today, the knowledge and the practice of yoga is spreading worldwide, which is a wonderful thing. Yoga goes far beyond the mat. Yoga is a way of life. Many countries which do not know our language, tradition, or culture now are connecting to India through yoga. Yoga is something that feeds our soul. It's a spiritual practice which relieves us from many elements. Moreover, exercise can strengthen our bodies, sharpen our intellect, and steady our emotions. I completed my 12th board examination when lockdown had commenced last year. I had lost my focus and interest almost everything and anything. I used to lay in bed all time. I use my phone and procrastinate all important tasks. My sleep cycle was a haywire, and my lifestyle had become poor. I was allergic to dust. My neighbor didn't need any alarm to wake up every morning. My sneeze was enough to do that. I used to take medicines every day, but I wanted to stop from them. So I wanted to stop being a procrastinator and do something productive, but I didn't know how to begin. Then I turned to my mother, who suggested me to do yoga. My mother introduced me to my yoga guru. She was a great guru. She always pushed to my potential in my yoga journey. On my first day of doing yoga, I was awesome. Did everything my guru instructed me. But the next day, you guessed it right, my whole body was in pain. I was so tired, I felt like skipping the day, but I said that don't lose hope, keep going ahead. Believe in yourself, and I exactly did the same thing and went for my second yoga class. It was tough and a slow process, but I didn't give up. As a beginner, my guru started my yoga practice with simple postures. I started with sun salutation called as Surya Namaskara, 12 postures. The benefits were it promotes strength for bones, flexibility, and corrects back postures. The next Snokasana, or the boat pose, that strengthens the abdominal muscle and tones your belly fat and arms and thighs. Now, Dhanurasana, or a bow pose, it is effective for the weight loss, improves for the digestion and appetite. Vakrasana, or a twisted pose, it massages your abdomen and reduces and makes your spine flexible. Bhujangasana, or the cobra stretch, strengthens the spine, stretches the chest and lungs. 3 rounds of these asanas and holding each posture for 40 seconds can benefit you extensively if done every day. The whole session lasted for 30 minutes. Doing these asanas regularly over a month gives you a good result. I found great result in myself. I had become more disciplined, patient, and focused. I had a better clarity in my thoughts. Negative thoughts did not make me more anxious anymore. I was able to make better decisions. And I was calmer inside, and I was sleeping on time, wake up on time, and was developing a good, healthy lifestyle. Every day makes me happy and rejuvenated. It helped me to sharpen my mind and improve my cognitive ability. And if I can, so you can. So you can. Yoga has numerous benefits. If you look closely, you will get relief when you practice regularly. In addition, when you practice several asanas and postures, It strengthens our body, gives us a feeling of well-being and healthiness. We can achieve a higher level of concentration through practice of yoga and learn how to steady our emotions. Yoga is not only a physical exercise where you twist, turn, and stretch or breathe in a complex way. These are actually the most superficial aspects of profound science of unfolding the infinite potential of the human mind and soul. It leads to a healthy development of mind, body, and soul by mastering certain yoga postures and asanas. Pranayama needs a special mention. It's the simplest form of yoga, which is done before any asanas. It teaches how you can wander your body by gaining a control over your breath. Everyone must practice yoga to keep health maintained and also benefit from it. It's a secret to living a healthy, long life without any artificial means such as medicine, surgeries, and other shortcut of any kind. To conclude my speech, true yoga is not about the shape of your body, but shape of your life. Yoga is not to be performed, it is to be lived. Yoga doesn't care about what you have been. It cares what the person are you becoming. Yoga is designed for a vast and profound purposes. For it to be truly called yoga, its essence must be embodied. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Rafi.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Aditya. Your journey with yoga is quite inspiring. Thank you for that speech. Moving on to our third speaker. He is a mechanical engineer with 18 plus years experience in vehicle design and development. He is on a path of presentation mastery and public speaking skill improvement. His hobbies include book reading on personal development and leadership. Please welcome with a huge round of applause, Madhav Jadhav, the 5 major pieces of life's puzzle. The 5 major pieces of life's puzzle, Madhav Jadhav. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Manvi. Hello, friends. How many of all of you want to be a successful? Good. But truth is, success doesn't find you. You have to go out and get it. So, fellow Toastmasters and guests, today I'm going to tell you a story about 2 frogs. It is from the Slight Edge book. The Slight Edge book, which talk about turning simple disciplines into a massive success and happiness. So there were 2 frogs living in a swamp. One day they decided to go out and explore the outside world. So they decided to go outside and explore the outside world, and they jumped. While going, they reached to one dairy, and there they found there was a pail of half-filled cream. So while hopping and jumping, they jumped in the pail, and they saw it delicious cream they never saw. So they enjoyed, and they drank much, and finally they were becoming sleepy. So, but first frog buffed. He told, "My brother, it's time to go out and head back to our homeland. That is our destiny." But there was a problem. They're not able to go out. They just jumped in easily, but they're not able to jump out because the pail was too much slippery due to the cream, due to the milk cream, and they're not able to jump because they not have any support, solid support to jump out. So they were trying, but not able to go out. So desperate, they become out of control. And their second frog, he was a negative attitude. What he was thinking? He thought, it's time to, we are fooled. We jumped in to have tasty cream, but we lost our life. So he was just relaxed. He thought there is no way to go out, and he was thought to, this is the time to go and die by facing our face towards our homeland. So And he was telling to his brother, this is the last time I am talking to you. Just, I am going to die now. There is no hope. But first frog, he was positive attitude. What he was thinking? No, brother, no, it's time to go out. We can do it. There is a miracle. You try your best and there will be a miracle going to happen. So he was trying. But second frog, he had a negative attitude. He was telling, there is no use, brother. We are going to die here. So he just turned his face towards his fam and just he drowned inside the milk. But first frog, he was not giving up. He's just trying and roaming here and there with desperately and pointless direction. Everywhere he wrote, moving here and there. Then finally, he also thinking about his brother. My brother is right? Am I a fool? There is no miracle in the life of frog? Then he also, after a lot of trial, he also tired and he stopped paddling and finally he gave up. But he was not able to, he not sank inside the cream because there was a cream in the pail that become a due to his paddling, that cream become a butter and it become a solid, with that support he jumped out of the pail and he went to his homeland and he reached homeland happily and alone. From this, what we think, as per our theme of the story, today's theme, the 5 reasons to watch the similar way, we have 5 pieces of puzzles for life. One is first frog, he has a positive attitude. What is he doing? He have knowledge and hope. He always thinking positive, and that's why his philosophy was positive. Due to that, his attitude is positive. Due to positive attitude, his actions, he was doing his actions continuously. He was not stopping himself, and due to that, his continuous action, he able to make the cream into a butter, solid butter, and due to that, he got a solid support and he jumped out of that and he changed his lifestyle. But one frog who has negative attitude, he immediately give up and accustom his current situation and just drawn inside, and he lost his life. So if everyone want to successful, there are 5 puzzles we have to solve every time. So we have to be to gain more knowledge and have faith on ourselves. And after gaining knowledge as well as faith, we'll have positive philosophy, good philosophy. Good philosophy leads to positive actions, and positive actions will create give consistency to create actions, and actions will lead to results, and results will lead to change our lifestyle. These are the 5 puzzles, 5 pieces of lifestyle which will change our life. So over to you, Toastmasters.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Madhav. It was a wonderful speech. We have now come to the end of the prepared speeches segment, and a link will be dropped in the chat box to vote for the best speaker. Anybody can vote, including the guests. So please do cast your vote for the best speaker of the meeting. The form is in the chat box. Once you're done voting, can you please show a thumbs up? All right. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again to reveal the next reason. And this is also my personal favorite reason to go back and watch Suits again and again and again. And that is the epic bromance. So the show is founded on the chemistry between Harvey and Mike. They are the ideal example of a mentor-mentee relationship. From the pilot episode, the trust between them is what propelled the plot forward and added a unique emotional depth to the show. Harvey keeps Mike's secret of never actually going to law school or finishing college because he believes in Mike and comes to care about his protege. Whereas Mike has an unshakable faith in Harvey, grounded in immense respect for his mentor. In fact, there comes a point in the show where Harvey is willing to lose his license to practice law just to save Mike. Their relationship from the pilot episode to this point and further is such a beautiful thing to watch, and it's going to leave you in happy tears. Sometimes I cry and wish I had a Harvey Specter in my life, but still waiting for that day. Anyway, their work relationship has developed into one of television's most believable bromances. It's completely filled with fun banter and deep sense of loyalty on both sides. You should definitely watch the show for their relationship. And that was the second reason. Now we will move on to the table topics segment. The table topic master for today is a first year CSC student who's passionate about performing arts. She's someone who's willing to try new things until she actually has to do those things. Very relatable and very funny. Please welcome Toastmaster Kriti as the table topics master for today.
Thank you, Toastmaster, for that wonderful introduction. So table topic session is the session of Toastmasters meeting where the participants are given the opportunity to practice impromptu speaking. A table topics master, that is me in this meeting, is the one who hosts the session, and I will call upon members as well as guests and give them topics to speak for a minimum of 1 minute and a maximum of 2 minutes with 30 seconds buffer time. Okay. Before we get into it, I will just explain how it will go. So since I haven't watched the show and I really don't know what it was about, I didn't know how to, relate the table topic session and the theme. So what I did is I Googled famous quotes in Suits and I wrote them down. Very generic ones. It's not specific to the show that only if you see it, you will know what it means. So I'll give you each one quote, whoever is going to speak, and you can do anything with it. You can, if you have seen the show, you can, tell what context it was said in and talk about it. Or you can tell the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear that quote, or your interpretation of it, your take on it, literally anything. Do whatever you want. And without further ado, we will jump into it. I want one volunteer to come up for the session. The first topic. Anyone interested? Or I'll just call out. I've written all the names on the wheel. It'll randomly pick, so you can't come and blame me later. Anyone, one person would like to volunteer.
Hey, Kriti, I would like to go.
Yes, Prateek. Okay, I will share my screen real quick. Is it visible? Can I?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Can you choose a number, please?
7.
A good choice. That's my favorite number too. First impressions last. That was by Harvey Specter. And I'm going to tell you now only, this guy talks a lot. They're like out of 12, like 10 of the quotes are by him only. So the stage is yours. I will, or do you want me to stop sharing? Do you have it in mind?
I'm fine, that's okay. Okay. First impressions last. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Kriti, for sharing this topic. And I'm saying this so that in the meanwhile, I can think of what I'm going to say to all of you. All right. Well, it does. And had I started off directly with some nice code or something, you would have had, oh my God, he's actually a great table topic speaker. But then I did not. I rather chose to give a good salutation and take my time. All right. Well, even then, I'm not really, I would say, fumbling a lot. So that doesn't mean that if the first impression did not go well, the entire impression won't go well, right? But now I'm almost at the end and I'm not able to think of anything. So that may put me into trouble. All right. Well, let me use some of the techniques which are ideally used in table topic situation to handle table topics. Well, if let's talk about different situations when first impressions do matter and when first impressions do not. Well, if you are going in an interview sort of scenario or for a date, it does matter. But if you are going traveling in a train or bus, or you meet someone and then you have good amount of time to spend with the other person, you have pretty good amount of time to explain yourself, to tell about yourself, and to make yourself comfortable and also get in ease with the other person. First impressions last. Yes, it does. Because if especially when it either goes really well or if it goes really not well. But if it is a mediocre situation, I think the other things apart from the first impressions, how you interact later on from the first point of interaction, matter as well. So yes, it does, and no, it do not. Thank you. Over to you.
That was a very diplomatic answer, Prateek. Thank you for that. Next, who's gonna go? Okay, Manvi, come on. This is your time to shine. Will you? Can you hear me?
I can do it, but there's a lot of audience here who's like a Suits fan, so maybe you can give them a chance first.
Suits fan. Yeah. I remember Vishal raising his hand. Vishal, will you? Yeah. Okay.
There's
sure.
Rohit also.
I'm not even gonna wait for your answer. Pick a number.
12.
Okay. Loyalty is a two-way street. Again, Harvey Specter.
Interesting. Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly why he said this, but I have, from Harvey Specter's own character, I have a pretty good idea as to what it meant to him. Harvey Specter, the character in the series, loyalty is a massive thing. Loyalty is pretty much everything to him in the season. It takes precedence over all of his work. He only does work with people who he trusts and people who are loyal to him, which is something when I saw in the show, I really liked, because people will often say in business key, we can't trust him, we can't do business with him. But what they showed in the series time and time again is that if you really trust the person and if you're really loyal to the person, you will often get loyalty in return. But I do remember in the show, there was an instance where loyalty was not maintained, and that really, I'm not going to spoil it, but that really influenced the reason as to why Harvey Specter in this case really demands loyalty out of everyone he works with. So whenever I think of loyalty, usually the first person in my head, like in terms of series, Harvey Specter will come up. And, you know, in the series itself, he has such a high bar for the amount of loyalty he has and he gives and he expects. It's something that even I would like to do that when I, get my own job and stuff like that. So in a way, that show influenced how I want to work with people. That's it.
Great, great. Yeah, Harvey Specter seems like a pretty strong character. Very interesting. Next, would any of the guests like to go? We'll do easy topics. Anyone? Ajay, Jai Krishna, Ritesh, Rachit, Deep Naik. Anyone would
I'd like to go.
Yes. Can you choose a number?
Okay, how about 10?
Failure is a bruise, not a tattoo. Are you okay with this topic?
Yeah, I am.
Amazing. Failure is a bruise, not a tattoo. Stage is yours.
Failure is a bruise and not a tattoo. I myself can relate to this quote because I have failed. I am an engineering student at STMCET Dharwad, and I failed in one subject. Has anyone else here failed in their academics? I can see Manvi, Deepika. Yes, that's great. Great to know that I can relate to so many people can relate to my this quote. And when I failed, it felt like the whole world is falling. All of the relatives I didn't know were giving me names and telling, Rachit, what is this? How like, what are you going to do? You have failed. And coincidentally, I was watching this season, this particular episode of Suits on that day, the day of my results had come out. I'd seen that I'd failed in mathematics, and I came home and I saw Mike Ross say this quote: "Failure is just a bruise, and not." And I've seen that he himself doesn't have a college degree, and he's such a good lawyer. I thought then I haven't failed as bad as him, and he's gone to such heights without any degree, and anyways I'm going to get mine, so why be sad? And I thought, like, let's really apply this quote, and today I actually cleared the subject with really better marks, really good marks than what I could initially score the last time. So yeah, failure is just a bruise and not the end. Thank you very much. Back to you, TTM.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rachit. That was a great attempt. Next, Rohit, would like to go?
Yeah, sure.
Can you choose a number, please?
Well, I hope number one is something that Harvey said, and as a lover of Harvey, I will always take number one.
Yep. You're lucky. Oh, no, wait, you're not. Sorry. It was Harvey Specter, and then I changed it. It was the break a wall. I mean, you can take that if you want. If you're against a wall.
Not a problem, not a problem. Jessica is also my second favorite person in Suits, so.
I do. Jessica Pearson. What a queen energy. I can already tell she's my favorite character, but yeah, the stage is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen of my esteemed peers, I'm here to present a case, right? A couple of years ago, I had a dream. I thought I wanted to do something big in life. I wanted to be different from everyone else. People told me I shouldn't, all right? And as always, there's going to be a prosecution. People are going to look at you and are going to say that, no, you cannot do this. What I wanted to do was take a break from my education. A lot of people will say you shouldn't, right? And that's how you can literally take as a trial. I literally had to be in trial against the entire, I would say, naysayers. And then I was the one guy defending my own case. Thankfully, my first counsel or second counsel was my mom, who was supporting me. But other than that, everyone said, nope, you should not take a break, do your master's, get an MBA, get a good job. Why are you taking a break from education right after your college? And to them, at that point in time, I didn't know Suits, but I said the exact same lines. I can because I can and I want to do it. No one's going to stop me from doing it. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but it's up to me. Years later, those very same people again took me to the court and a trial saying that, you know what, have a stable job. You need to take care of that. Don't do anything risky. Starting something big, entrepreneurship may not work. And by then I knew Suits. And Of course, I used another line which Harvey said, but these same words that Jessica Pearson said was in my mind, just saying, I can because I can, right? And that's who I am. And I went ahead and started my own company. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you may not actually be in a courtroom, but life puts you in a courtroom every day. And there is a judge, there is a jury, and there are the prosecution. You could be the defendant, fighting your own battle, or having a few people in first counsel and second counsel helping you on that case. But at each moment, you need to understand yourself that it's your life, it's your case. If you can, you can. Nobody else can. If you have that mindset, and that's why I say watch Suits, build that mindset in your head, because then every day would be, I can, because I can. Over to you.
Wow. That was a whole prepared speech right there. Didn't feel like a table topic at all. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rohit. Who'd like to go next? When you know these are interesting topics, you must be dying to do this.
Venil can go next. She literally has the background of Harvey's office, so she's already prepared.
Yeah, come on, go ahead. Manvi?
I guess no one realized you said Venil and they're not connecting that with my name, I think, Rohit.
Oh, sorry. Did he call you out?
Yes, he did.
That part is, it got cut. Sorry. Would you like to go?
I wouldn't mind if others are okay with it.
Oh, absolutely. Which, can you please choose a number? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Which ones have already been taken, please?
1, 12, 7.
All right, 1, 12. That's my date of birth, my God. It's 1, 12. I'll take 3.
We'll be friends. By Donna.
Okay, I love this. I think everyone loves Donna, I think, right? And Rohit already has that emoji on, because if you're not weird to some extent, I don't really think you can be friends with a person. Now, in my case, I don't know if many of you have already gotten the vibe. I don't know why people think that also. At the first impression people have of me is that I'm a very, very serious person. And this has happened with just about every close friend that I have. They think that I'm very serious, and our whole relationship starts on a very formal basis about science or about human rights or about something that's where we find common ground. And then one day suddenly they say, okay, I did not realize you were this crazy. For example, I'll just change my virtual background for a second. So this is also something that I like. I think that's a basis for friendship, being a little bit of craziness, or it might also be that not just a base for friendship. Maybe we need to be comfortable enough with someone to show our other sides, our lighter sides. In Suits, especially, the one good thing is it's totally about a corporate network, but you also see the other side of people, the totally crazy side that comes out in a few episodes. And I love that. I love that part of Suits also. So if anyone thinks that I'm serious, or if anyone thinks that someone else who spoke here is a very serious person, I would say get to know them a little bit better. There might be something really crazy just lurking under the surface. Over to you, Tidia.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster. Can I just ask what the background is?
You can see it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can, but it's a little scary.
Yeah, it is.
I can just see a small thing. Okay.
It's Jurassic Park. And I positioned it so that I'm right in front of that other human being so that.
Yes. I saw what you did there. Very nice. Thank you so much, Toastmaster. Do we have time? Maud, do we have time?
Yeah, we can go one more speaker, and Deep had raised his hand.
Deep. Okay, great. Deep, would you like to go?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, there's a power cut here. So.
No, that's not a problem. So which number would you like to go with?
I'll go with number 5.
Number 5.
I think you can.
Just okay. You think you can rattle me? I am unrattleable. Louis Litt. Would you go with this?
Yeah, I'll try. So one more, my like basically all the characters of Suits are my favorites. So I am very difficult to choose between one of the best or favorite character of all of them. So if we see the quote by Louis Litt, like the character in this particular series, Louis Litt is like, one can say it's very funny character when it goes with when he fights with Harvey Specter, he thinks like he's a better lawyer than Harvey Specter. So his fight with Harvey Specter is one of the best moments in the series, and always some point of time Harvey Specter comes ahead of Louis Litt. So but he thinks Louis Litt oftenly quotes like everyone thinks like he can be defeated, but he's really not defeatable. At the end, like his name comes on the wall along with Harvey Specter. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deep. Yeah, he does seem like a comical character. Am I right? From that one quote, I could say that he was, yeah. Okay, that's it from my side. Thank you so much for participating. Over to you, Timon.
Thank you, Kriti. I was feeling a little left out after seeing ETM Elavanil's background, so I set mine also. This is Harvey Specter's office, as you can see. And great job done, Kriti. I was a little offended in between because I couldn't recall some of the quotes as table topics. So I think I need to go back and watch the show again to be called the biggest fan of Suits. Anyway, moving on to the third reason why you should watch Suits. Is my screen visible? Okay,
Yes.
so the second reason was Harvey's and Mike's bromance, as you can already see in the picture. Third reason why you should invest your time in Suits is smart writing. So the writing of Suits is incredibly smart and quick. It's that show that expects its audience to keep up. It's that kind of a show that expects its audience to keep up, and it's truly worth watching. There's a lot of fun banter on the show, and there's a wonderful sense of levity to the writing. The jokes don't feel forced. The humor isn't restricted to a specific demographic. There are numerous pop culture references in the dialogue with a lot of movie quotes and comparison to fictional characters and some really bad Sean Connery impressions. Some of the most memorable quotes from the show, especially said by Harvey Specter, are, "I refuse to answer that on the grounds that I don't want to." I mean, how savage can a person be to say that line? And there was another dialogue that happened between Mike and Harvey, and that's one of my favorites. Harvey tells Mike that, "What are your choices when someone puts a gun to your head?" And Mike is like, "What are you talking about? You do what they say or they shoot you." And then Harvey says, "Wrong. You take the gun, or you pull out a bigger one, or you call their bluff, or you do any of the 146 other things." And that's what I love about this show. The dialogues in the show, they have some really good vocabulary and phrases that you can use in everyday life, like actually. So if someone's looking up to level up their vocab, watch Suits. And for all the Suits fan in the house, let's do a lawyer vocabulary. Let's see how well versed are you with these legal jargons. So are you all ready? By a show of hands or a thumbs up, all the Suits fans here. Okay. Starting with the first word of the legal vocabulary is a subpoena. Now, who can tell me what a subpoena is? Anybody, please unmute and go ahead.
May I?
Yes, sure, Ditya.
It is an order that will produce a person before the court.
Yes, absolutely. It's a court order. You can use a subpoena to require a person to come to court or go to a deposition or give documents or evidence to you. So you must serve subpoena on that person. Great job done, DTM Ilavanil. Next word is a plaintiff. Anybody who would like to go ahead?
When you have multiple people you're defending at once, you'll have one person to represent the people you're defending, so that will be your lead plaintiff. I could be okay.
No.
Proceed.
Anybody? Yes, Rohit, please go ahead.
So plaintiff is someone who brings a case to the court, right? It's that person who's going to be going against the court as possibly the defendant or so.
Yes, a plaintiff is someone who initiates a lawsuit. So if I have to sue Vishal for something tomorrow, then I will be the plaintiff and Vishal will be the defendant. That's how it works. All right. Finally, due diligence. What do you think a due diligence is? Anybody? If no one answers, then it goes to Rohit.
Can I answer this?
Yeah, you can give it a try. Go ahead.
It's to do your research properly.
Yeah, close. Sort of. You're close. Rohit, would you like to go next?
Yeah, so there are two things in due diligence. From a legal perspective, it is what kind of steps you take before you actually go for a case or before you actually satisfy legal grounds. You need to do your due diligence. You need to check all the documents, the case files, the plaintiffs, the witness list, the discovery. You need to do the due diligence before you actually go to case so that you don't get into a mistrial or get thrown with a dismissal.
Yes, absolutely. It's basically like an investigation or an audit or a review you perform to confirm the facts or the details of matter under consideration. All right, well done, guys. So this was the third reason why you should invest in suits. And now we will move on to our listening segment. Apologies to the listener because I forgot to introduce her in the beginning. Our listener is a foodie. She loves to sleep, always ready to take up new challenges and explore new stuff. She follows this code religiously that if you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. If you really follow this code, then you should definitely watch Suits. It's pretty much around the same thing. So over to you, Toastmaster Divya.
Sorry for the disturbance. Well, I'm back with today's questions for the listener segment, and have been interesting for as far the reasons why we have to watch Suits. I'm waiting for the meeting to get over and so that I can start watching the Suits. So for this segment, I would request all of you to turn on your videos so that when I ask a question, who is raise your hands, I'll get to know. Maybe we can take a minute. Rachit, Toastmaster Rohit, Deep, Accounter Athar, Athasam.
Divya, there's a power cut at my end, so you can proceed.
Well, let's start with the first question. Who can read people like nobody else? I saw Rachit raising his hand first.
Harvey Specter?
No. That was wrong. Amrit?
Donna.
Yes, that's the right answer. You get 1 point. Next question. Who codes a lot of movie dialogues?
I'll go Harvey Specter.
No. Anyone else?
Mike Ross.
Yeah. Rachit
Okay.
gets point. Next. One of the member loves to go on a long walk. Who is that member? Shruti?
Toastmaster Vishal.
Yes, that's the right answer. So as of now, Amrit 1, Rachit 1, and Shruti 1. Next, who is a perfect blend of beauty? Which character is a perfect blend of beauty? I can see Deep Naik.
Divya, just to correct you, it's beauty, power, and wisdom. Perfect blend of beauty, power, and wisdom.
Okay.
Okay, then I can go Jessica.
Yes. Francis get 1 point. Next one. Who is a paralegal at Pearson Hardman? Amrit?
Rachel.
Correct. Amrit gets another point. Amrit is on lead with 2 points. Next question. When did Shruti get her first phone? The date and year.
2018.
Okay. Francis, you can go.
2018, but I don't remember the date exactly.
Okay. We'll give Kriti a chance.
28th March 2018, right after her boards.
That's the right answer. So Kriti gets. Next up, what does yoga feed to? There was one word used by Toastmaster Aditya.
What was the question again?
What does yoga feed to?
Yoga feeds our soul.
Yes. Francis gets another point. Amrit and Francis with 2 points on lead. Next question. What were the 2 health problems that Shruti faced during her phone addiction phase? Vishal?
Dryness of eyes, insomnia.
Yeah, that's the right answer. We have Vishal also in the table with 1 point. Next question. What was alarm for Aditya's neighbors?
His sneeze.
Okay, let's give Francis a point. I request you to raise your hand so that I get to know. Next, which yoga is not a physical exercise. It consists of, there were 3 words used by Toastmaster Aditya. What were those 3 words? Anyone want to give a guess? Yes, Manvi, you can go.
Mind, soul. Third one, I don't know.
No,
I can
that's...
go
Yes, Francis?
body, mind, and soul.
No. Anyone else? I would like to give you one option, one of the blank in that. The middle one was stretch. Turn.
Middle one was what?
Turn. T-U-R-N.
I can go again.
Yes, you can.
Breathing, twist and turns. Twist, turns, and breathing.
Twist,
Twist,
turn, push.
Twist, turns, and stretching.
Yeah, Deepika, you get this point. Well, another question, and we'll like to break a tie. Francis on lead with 3 points and Amrit is 2. The others are all on 1. Let's have a tiebreaker here. What are the 3 reasons to watch Suits as mentioned by Manvi? Amrit?
Script writing, smart writing, bromance, the brotherhood between them, and the first one is the plot, the pilot scene. Am I right?
Yes, you're right. And now Amrit and Francis are on lead. So now the next question is for Francis and Amrit. On what grounds did everyone start a conversation with DTM 11 and Venus?
It's either Coates or Harvey Specter.
It was about human rights. So I don't think that's the right answer. Can we have another question so that we give? Where does first impression matter according to Toastmaster Pratik? Amrit?
A date and interview.
That's the right answer, and Amrit is on lead with 4 points. And the best listener for today's meeting is Amrit Preet Kaur. That's all from my side, and over to you, Toastmaster Manvi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Divya. It was a very interesting segment. I'd like to share my screen again before we move on to the evaluation segment. Screen is visible? Thumbs up? Okay. The 4th reason to watch Suits is it's very stylish. Trust me, all the men and women in the room, very, very stylish the show looks. Everything you need to know about the look and feel of Suits can be found in its fantastic opening title sequence. Its cinematography is sleek, the soundtrack is smooth, and the costumes for both men and women is quite elegant without even trying to be. So if you're looking for ideas for formal wear, those who are joining office, the people who graduated or who will be graduating later, looking for formal dress ideas, watch Suits. Suits is one of those rare shows that has a very defined style from the first episode, and the style can be summed up in one word, that is elegant. So that was the 4th reason. Now let us move on to the evaluation segment, and for that I'd like to call upon the general evaluator, Toastmaster Vishal.
Thank you, Team Modi. First of all, okay, I guess I'm echoing. Stop. So evaluator 1 has a little bit of a power cut going on. So we'll start with evaluator 3. She is a yoga enthusiast and loves to spend time with her family, especially with her 5.6-year-old daughter. She likes to travel to scenic places and have done a couple of solo trips as well. Please welcome Toastmaster Dolly to the stage.
Thank you, General Evaluator Vishal. So first of all, I would like to congratulate Madhav on attempting his level 1 project 2 second speech. I felt it was delivered very well. The thing that stood out to me the most during the speech is the opening and the conclusion part, where you started with a question. So the first, when you start, the first few seconds are very critical to catch audience attention. So you did a great job there. And also your conclusion, where you were explaining the life's philosophy of having a positive attitude, how continuous efforts brings about great results, and few other, you spoke about changing your lifestyle and few other values. These were key takeaways for me, and it was really resonating with me. And this Two Frogs story is one of my daughter's favorite story. I keep reading stories to her every day before going to bed, and she just loves the story, and audience could easily connect with the theme when you try to explain something with a story. So I really like the way you crafted your speech with this story, and I could see there were clear transition because previously you had got this feedback on that continuity was missing in between, and it was not in a proper flow. So I felt you have really improvised on that aspect this time, and I could follow your speech. So overall, a great job done there. In terms of areas of improvement, one small suggestion is you could definitely work on your vocal variety. There's definitely scope for improvement, like pausing at the right moment, working on your intonation. And also in few places, I felt that you're not completing your sentences properly, kind of swallowing the words. Few examples are like, you said they saw delicious cream. They never saw something like word, but you're going word by word. Instead, if you could clearly complete the sentence with the corresponding emotions, like they saw delicious cream that they never saw before, something like that with that emotion, it would really help. Also, in few other places, like I'm going to die and there is no hope. We are going to die here. It was all kind of said in the same tone in a casual way. So if you could emote a little bit better in while saying such things, it would really take your speech to the next level. Use also the usage of word in certain places, like you said, continuous actions. Instead of that, if you had told continuous efforts, it would have been more impactful. So one of the feedback you had received previously is to stand and present. So I'm not sure, I don't think you did that today. So maybe in your next speech, if you can memorize your speech part by part and practice and present it by standing, you could connect with the audience more, and I think we'll have a better eye contact as well. To summarize, I was very impressed with your speech, and I saw a great deal of improvement based on the feedback I saw in the previous first attempt and now. I also see a potential for continued growth as you focus on things like the pacing and the vocal variety. Keep up the good work. Back to the general evaluator.
Thank you for that evaluation. Toastmaster Dolly, your evaluation was nice and crisp. It had a nice structure to it also. And you brought out a lot of points for improvement for Madhav that could really be worked on, and a lot of good points also you gave. I personally really enjoyed the story and how engaging it was in bringing the audience attention. So great work on both parts. Okay, so our second evaluator, he has 5 years experience in the financial services and likes physical activity and exercise and loves to listen to music. Toastmaster Francis, the stage is yours.
Thank you. So Toastmaster Aditya, let's first go through the feedback which you received last time, and let's see how you did taking into consideration that feedback. So one of the feedback was work on voice modulation. I think you did modulate your voice to a certain extent, but you can improve this. Then begin your speech with a quote. I think you both began and ended your speech with a quote, which was very good. And if possible, stand up and present your speech. You did this as well, which is good. So basically you covered 2 out of 3 points. I think your voice modulation was there, but you can improve that. So I liked the flow of your speech where you started with what yoga is and its extent in people's lives and the world. Then you narrowed down to how you started practicing yoga, and also how you went for a yoga class, and then the second day how you were feeling like you didn't want to go for the yoga class, which most of us experience when we're trying to do something difficult. Mostly the second day is the hardest day. You also explained how you were before you practiced yoga and how it helped you improve, and how you became better after practicing yoga regularly. And you took us through the improvement process. And you also explained the different poses and ended with how yoga is not just an exercise, but also it's a way of unfolding to quote you, the infinite potentials of the human mind and soul. And I also thought your speech was very well structured with a good introduction, body, and conclusion. And also the speech in general was very informative and educational to the audience. So while delivering your speech, you looked quite confident. And as I mentioned, you stood up and delivered, which was very good. And I could also see, since you stood up, we could see your hand gestures, which was very great, which you used, because while using your hand gestures, the audience gets to know that you actually mean what you say, and you're expressing those things through your hand gestures. You also did use voice modulation to an extent, which was good. So after telling you all these positive points, I just have some suggestions which you can work on. You can use pauses in your speech just to get the audience's attention, especially a speech like yours where it's informative and educational. You can also use facial expressions and pace your speech so you don't seem like you're rushing a little bit. Overall, it's a great speech, and all the best for your next speech. Thank you, and back to TM Vishal.
Thank you for that evaluation, Toastmaster Francis. It was a good structured evaluation. And with these L1, P22 speeches, since they build on the previous speech, it was a nice touch to add what the evaluation was in the previous speech and then bring that and use that to form your current evaluation. And as for the speaker, Aditya, I did hear your first speech and I can see there was a really nice improvement into the speech. Although there was one thing, if I would add to the evaluation, was that, like, as a person who doesn't do yoga, when you talk about these asanas, we don't know what these asanas are. So if you could add, or like if you could either add a small demonstration or either like a small description of them, I think that would really bring out the speech to another level. Also, for our next evaluator, unlike this intro, he won't go 2 sentences without making a reference to Star Wars or Greek mythology. This is also what happens when you make your general evaluator make your own intro. Toastmaster Ethatham, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vishal. I knew Star Wars was there. It's like a thing now. You know. So good evening.
Ethatham, we lost you. Okay.
I think we can all turn off our videos to support his bandwidth. Aithasam, are you there?
I think he's out of the meeting now. Right, I don't see him anywhere in the meeting. So what we'll do is we'll continue with the tag team report and come back to him when he comes back to the meeting. Actually, he's back. It's a sound. He's still connecting to audio. That's all right. We'll start with the tag team report then. Can we have the timer report then?
I'll present my report. So basically everyone were on time, nobody crossed their time. It's just that in evaluation, the TM Rohit had qualified, exceeded the time, which was 2 minutes, 28 seconds, but his speech was really good. So that's fine. And in evaluation segment, all the evaluators crossed the exceeding time, but well through evaluation was done. So we cannot say anything on that. Rest all, everything was time and the meeting is going on. There is nothing much on my side. Back to you.
Thank you for that report. And I believe it was 2 minutes, 28 seconds on Rohit. So he's 2 seconds within time. Right. With that said, 30 second buffer, right? Okay. With that said,
can I continue with my
okay,
evaluation?
Ehtasam's back.
Okay, so let me start again. Good evening, everyone, and a very good evening to Toastmaster Shruti again. So when I asked her before the meeting what her title was going to be, she said, "Meet my friend." And I jokingly replied, "Yes, I will meet your friend, but what's your title?" And after listening to your speech, I realized that I already knew him. But now let's go down to brass tacks and I'll present my evaluation. Uh, it will be in three parts. The first of them is things that made your speech worth listening to. So your title, again, made us thought that it will be a story about your friendship or a story related to your friend. But then you subverted the expectation. That was a really nice way to have a good title. And then you started with a question and you waited for the audience to respond. That actually catches the attentions of the audience and they are interested in your speech throughout them. And apart from that, in the speech you had the personal story, how you got your phone on 20th March and how it impacted your life. And you were the one of the thing that I liked the most about your speech is that you are self-critical. Usually when we present a speech that involves private story, we tend to not talk about things that we used to do in a bad way. And you didn't present it in a bad way, but those were the things that had bad impact. So you were self-critical, that's what I'm trying to say. And apart from that, things, now coming back to the second part of my evaluation, things that were good but they could be a bit better and there would be an icing on the cake. Then the first of them is the voice modulation. You really had voice modulation in the beginning when you said really at the age of 7. So in the initial stage you did had the voice modulation, but as the speech went on, you lost the voice modulation part. I hope you will get accustomed to that because it's just your level 1 project to L1 P21. You will get accustomed to that. But apart from that, the speech structure, the speech was structured the way you wanted it to be structured. But what I felt was it was all over the place, and yet it was cohesive enough for a proper speech. What I mean by that is you jumped from 28th March to the current situation, and then you went back to it. So it was cohesive because it had one proper message, underlying message, but it could have been better structured. And because it's your L1 P21, I'm supposed to give you a challenge. One of the challenge would be to use prompts because your speech had the prompt itself. Like you could have used phone and you could have used it in a way that that elevated your speech. So you use prompts in your next speech if you're giving the same speech or even if you're not. And one more suggestion would be the angle of the camera. Apart from that, you ended very well. And overall, it was an amazing performance by you. So that is it from my side. Back to you, General Valet.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ehtasam. You had a nice structure as always to your evaluation and gave a lot of good points to Shruti. There's not much to be added to that evaluation because it sort of covered everything that needed to be covered. There is that basic feedback of do stand up during your speeches that every general evaluator gives, which is what I'll give to you. And Shruti, I loved your speech. It was really nice. It had energy. And I did want to reiterate one of the points Ehtasam said was that when you went from a sort of lighter tone to a more heavier tone towards the end of your speech, you did have that drop in energy. So keeping that energy consistent throughout the entire speech would be like a great improvement to the speech overall. With that said, we'll move on to the next tag team's report, which is the Archontas report. So can we have the Archontas report?
Is my screen visible?
Yep.
This following report is regarding the speaker Uh, should I read this report or just share it?
You can read out anywhere, like overall, the people in this meeting needed improvement, but you don't have to read out every single one.
Okay, fine. The speaker one, the Shruti Reddy, he with the sound once and one and one. It's good. Well, if you all see it.
Atar.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we lost you.
Vishal, it's very difficult to read this.
That's all right. You can share it is your first time and this is also your first meeting, so it's fine. You can share this document to our secretary and you can share it in the group if you'd like.
Okay, fine.
All right, thank you. You can stop sharing now. With that said, we'll move on to our final tag team member, the grammarian. Toastmaster Deepika.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry about that. There was external noise. Okay, so there were very good usages of words and grammar from a lot of people. And to start with, the word of the day was used twice by Madhav and Aitizam. The word of phrase of the day was used by Aitizam once. So yeah, I gathered that the word of the day and the phrase of the day wasn't suitable enough and many people didn't use it much. So let's start with the good usages of words. Speaker one, Toastmaster Shruti, used words like personified, problem territory, immense, and a lot other good words in her speech. The speaker two used procrastinate, good, and a lot of good phrases in the speech. And speaker three used delicious, desperately, faith in his speech. And Toastmaster Kriti used diplomatic, time to shine, which were good usages of words. And Toastmaster Manvi, the TMOD, used invest, elegant vocabulary, and definitely other words which from suits, which we will be using in our, like normal days. And Toastmaster Evaluator 3 used words like takeaways, transition in her evaluation. All the evaluators used good words. Evaluator 1 used self-criticism, which was a good word. Evaluator 2 used informational, educational, and other good words in his evaluation. Now coming to the improper usages of words, there were a lot of improper usages of words. I won't specify the names, but I'll go with the sentences. A few of them. School stuff could have been said by informed about school or be informed, keep me informed about school. And itself and also were used a lot in a few places, which could have been reduced and did not need any alarm, could have used never needed an alarm. Usages of plurals were in wrong places. And how many of all of you could have been how many of you, how much could have been more and more, was positive or negative attitude could have been had positive or negative attitude. He also thinking about brother could have been was thinking like the brother or had the same mentality of the brother. And continuous action could have been kept trying, like how evaluator 3 specified it. Again and again and again could have just been said by repeatedly. And also just possible to overcome it could have been enough to overcome it. So that was my report. Thank you. Over to you, gentle evaluator.
Thank you for that report. So feedback for the tag team, time report was short and crisp. It was nice. Usually sometimes I must go through every single time that was done, but you went over them in blocks, which was nice to see. Our counter, it was your first time. With more experience, you'll learn how to do these roles. So it was a nice effort to also take it up on your first meeting. So can we have a round of applause for Athar? First meeting, he took up a role. And grammarian report, as always, Deepika, you're very attentive in the meeting and picked out everything. Although for further times you take up grammarian, there is this distinction you can make in the improvements you give where either the message they were trying to convey was lost in the grammar they were using, or it was that they conveyed the correct message, but the grammar was incorrect. So those are two different ways they mess up with grammar. So when you make that distinction, oftentimes it will help for the speaker to know what exactly happened with their grammar. Okay, so evaluation of the meeting overall. It started on time? No, we started 5 minutes late, but that was fine. Technical difficulties, it happens from time to time. Were all the introductions done correctly? Yes, all the introductions by the TMOD were done correctly and by the PO were done correctly. The SAA started out the meeting on a very energetic note, which I always like to see. The Dharani usually starts us off on that energetic note, and it was nice to see in this meeting as well. And coming to the table topics. Table topics was very nice. Oftentimes when people watch their favorite TV shows, they idealize all those emotions into the quotes from those TV shows, and to bring out those quotes as table topics themselves, it is really nice to see and really nice to take part in. Despite the fact you have not seen the show, you still put up a really nice table topics for people who did watch the show. It was commendable to see. And coming to the Toastmaster today, Manvi, it was an amazing meeting. I don't remember the last time I watched Suits, but now I want to watch it again. So I believe your end goal was achieved for trying to make people watch Suits more. And a couple of other things. One thing about the presentation, the design really fit well with your team, which was really nice to see. And on top of that, the way you were, introducing people and then making a small comment about the speeches was also really nice to see. So you were also managing the time in a timely manner, which is always great to see in a TMOD. Overall, there aren't much improvements to be given to the meeting overall. We stuck to the time, and even though we started 5 minutes late, we do have some time to spare. With that said, that's my general evaluation. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Vishal, for that amazing evaluation. Thank you so much. Okay, fine. So it's time to end the meeting, but before that, there will be a link in the chat box for you to vote for your favorite role taker. Please do vote for your favorite role taker of the meeting. All of you can cast a vote, whether you're a member or a guest. Are we done voting? Okay. Please show a thumbs up once you're done. Okay. Is my screen visible? All right. So the final reason to watch Suits is it has the relationships that we care about. Suits is a show populated by characters that have been created and developed with care. Every combination of actors on this show produces dynamite scenes. You'll laugh every time you see Donna and Rachel gossip together. You're going to cheer every time Harvey stands up for Mike, or vice versa. You'll feel all warm and fuzzy inside whenever someone is genuinely nice to Louis. You're going to smile whenever Harvey and Jessica strategize together. And you're going to melt every time Donna and Harvey fight for each other. I love television shows that make me feel and make me think, and that Suits for you in a nutshell. You come to the show for its smart writing and its charming cast, and you stay because the cast makes you feel invested in every character's journey. So watch the show already if you haven't, and if you've seen the show, go back and rewatch it. And before I depart, I want to ask you all, how many of you have Netflix and Amazon Prime subscription? By a show of hands. Okay, quite a lot of you. If you don't have, ask your friends for their passwords. What are best friends for? That's it from my side. And actually, I think I already ruined the surprise before. But if you don't want to watch the show for anybody, watch it for this man right here. This pretty handsome man, this witty guy. He's going to amaze you with the character that he is. And that's it from my side. Back to you, the presiding officer.
Five reasons to watch Suits. I'm totally convinced to watch this show right now. I'm waiting for this meeting to get over and I'll start immediately. And I feel really happy when I see a lot of guests in our meetings. So I would like to hear from them and their experience and about the Suits. Are they convinced too, just like me? Let's hear it from Deep. Could you please unmute and tell us about your experience in our meeting?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So yeah, the only reason this is my first Toastmasters meeting, and the reason I came here was the name Suits. Like only I got to know like the meeting is all about Suits. So my friend at some told me like you should attend this meeting today. You will be having a fun today. So just by the name of Suits, I'm a big fan and I enjoyed watching Suits. So I'm amazed and I'm very excited to be part of this meeting. And thank you so much, everyone, for letting me part of it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for coming, and we would like to see you more in our meetings. Rohit, could you please unmute and tell us about your experience?
Yeah, I mean, what to say? It Suits. I just finished watching it for the third time. Watched it alone, then watched it with my friends. Now I watched it with my family, and I'm planning next year again. I'll watch it every year. It's a custom that I'm going to watch the entire season. And why? I'll just give one more reason. Manvi gave 5. I'll give one reason. My number one reason why Suits is the series I suggest to everyone is it changes your life. You saw Ilvinil, my close friend. I made her watch it and then she transformed. I've asked people to watch it. And just so you know, our current district director, DTM Sagnik Biswas, also started watching it. I pushed him to start watching it. So everyone watches and you see the language will change. The way they carry themselves will change. And watch Suits. Second, buy a suit and then wear it. And trust me, you'll feel like Harvey Specter. But other than that, guys, love the meeting. As always, I love coming to the club. I should come often, but I'm currently halfway working on the JTP and Forte planning and sitting in the meeting. So it's tough, but I will definitely come. I see you guys have some amazing teams. I saw Friends, I saw Marvel, I saw Suits. I should start coming more often. But kudos, guys.
Thank you so much. That was so sweet. And that was another reason to watch Suit. I'll definitely buy a suit and wear it after watching it. Let's hear from our evaluator 2, Francis.
Okay. It's actually hard to follow that Rohit because he gave very good explanation about Suits. But anyways, I think at one point, even I would have, I think I convinced some people to watch Suits, and I watched it once, but yeah, I've been watching others as well. And I should say, I don't think anyone could have done a better job than Manvi in convincing us to watch Suits. It was a great session. I really enjoyed it. And I should say the speakers and all the role takers did a great job. And as always, I look forward to the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay, let's hear it from our college mate, Jay Krishna. Could you please unmute and tell about your experience?
Yeah, hello everyone.
Hello.
Yeah. So the meeting was awesome. Actually, I enjoyed the meeting. Yeah, but I haven't watched the show, the so-called Suit. So I will be happy to watch it today itself if I get the time. And all the speakers of today and general evaluator Vishal was awesome. So thank you very much for this wonderful show. Happy to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, and we wish to see you in more meetings. It was a great meeting, and I really enjoyed it. And thank you so much for all the role takers, speakers, and evaluators. Toastmaster Dharani, is the results ready?
Yes. So I'm back with my results of today's meeting. So let us first go for speakers. And here are the results. Second runner-up with ratings 3.81, Toastmaster Madhav Jadhav. And first runner-up with ratings 3.87 by Toastmaster Aditya. And the winner is Toastmaster Shruti with ratings 4.56. Congratulations, Shruti. The best table topic speaker is Toastmaster Rohit. Congratulations, Toastmaster Rohit. And the tag member, second runner-up with ratings 4.07 by Toastmaster Athar. And first runner-up with ratings 4.30 by Toastmaster Amrit. And the winner is Toastmaster Deepika with ratings 4.38. Congratulations, Toastmaster Deepika. The evaluators. The runner-up with ratings. We have two runner-ups today. With the ratings 4.07 by Toastmaster Francis and Toastmaster Dolly. And the winner is Toastmaster Artism with ratings 4.46. Congratulations, Artism. Coming to the role taker. Listener Toastmaster Divya with ratings 4.23. Even we have two runner-up for this role taker with ratings 4.53 by Table Topic Master Toastmaster Kriti and the General Evaluator Toastmaster Vishal. And the winner is, of course, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Manvi with a ratings 4.6. I really loved this theme and I really enjoyed with this. I think you all have enjoyed this meeting, and we got meeting rate goes to 8.9 out of 10. So this is my results. So back to you, presiding officer. I request all the winners to put your full name in the chat box. All the winners. It will be useful for my certificates.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Dharani. Let's click a picture together. Manvi, can you please click a picture?
I was on mute all this while. Sorry. Itisam, can you? Achha, okay, you have a low bandwidth. Deepika, Dolly, Atar, Jai Krishna, could you please turn on your videos for a quick picture? Okay. Smile, everyone. All right. Any other pose?
Is there like a signature suits pose?
Everyone
No.
say suits.
I was wondering. Yeah. Okay, great. I got it.
So on that note, I declare 46th meeting of MVJ CE Toastmaster Club close. Stopping the recording.